Why you bugging?
That's the problem.
Or the two people are traveling together who know each other and they're like talking over you.
Reclining middle seat in the back row.
There you go. We're going to tell you what is the seat that is the best seat on a plane. Plus, we have, this is from Representative Bono Mack's playlist, Run DMC Mary Mary. How appropriate. She's joining us in just a minute to talk about Mitt Romney's big sweep last night. Our panel this morning, Ron Brownstein, editorial director of the National Journal and CNN senior political analyst. He's got a couple of things to say this morning after all those primaries. John Fugelsang is a political comedian, and Will Cain is a columnist at theblaze.com. Nice to see all of you guys.
Good morning.
A lot to talk about. Ooh, that was in unison, too. I like it.
That song's not very nice to Mary if you listen to it.
Oh, really? All right, we'll ask the Congresswoman about it. 5 for 5. This morning, Mitt Romney turning his full attention to the general election after sweeping yesterday's GOP primaries in Connecticut, Delaware, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island.
A better America begins tonight. Tonight is the start of a new campaign to unite every American who knows in their heart that we can do better. The last few years have been the best that Barack Obama can do, but it's not the best America can do. Tonight is the beginning of the end of the disappointments of the Obama years.
But Romney hasn't quite clinched the amount of delegates needed for the nomination just yet. Right now, he has 764 of the 1,144 needed. Newt Gingrich has 141, Ron Paul 75. Joining us now, Romney supporter Congresswoman Mary Bono Mack of California. Nice to see you this morning.
Thank you. Nice to see you, too.
I want to start with Rick Santorum, who has been holding on in this race for a very long time and really had the cultural conservative kind of vote for so long now. And he was on Piers Morgan last night, and I want to talk about whether or not he is endorsing your candidate. Listen in.
That's like mishearing things.
Well,
you just endorsed Mitt Romney.
Well, if that's what you want to call it, you can call it whatever you want.
Am I wrong?
All I would say, look, I believe
Karen, you know your husband.
Race.
Has he just endorsed Mitt Romney?
Not at this point. No, we're working through it. We're talking about it.
I love that she's sort of clarifying his position on this, but I wanted to ask you, Congresswoman, do you want Senator Santorum's support and endorsement here?
Oh, of course we do, and I'm sure Rick is going to be there all along. Clearly, first of all, I have no idea what was said last night. Pierce definitely was doing all the talking, but as usual. But Rick is going to come around. There's no doubt about it. Rick recognizes that our best shot in November is going to be Mitt Romney, that we need Mitt Romney desperately to turn our country around. So I'm confident Rick will get there. But of course, you know, he's going to take a little time probably to get over all of the hard work he has done. But I know he'll be there in the end.
I mean, there's also that lingering concern about the comment from Santorum on the campaign trail that that your candidate was a worse choice than the president. You can get over that.
Well, look, all sorts of things are said in the heat of the battle of a campaign. It's unfortunate, and as you know, negative campaigning have really taken over all campaigns in America. But Rick is going to recognize, and I'm sure, you know, what's interesting about Mitt Romney is he's the kindest, most benevolent candidate I've ever met. Actually, 4 years ago, I met him right after Rudy Giuliani dropped out of the race. I'd been backing Rudy way back then. I met Mitt shortly thereafter, and he was very forgiving of me and very kind and wanted to move forward back then. I'm sure it'll be the same thing now.
Meantime, Ron Paul and Newt Gingrich say they're still in the race at this point. Paul saying Monday he won't step aside even if Romney clinches the nomination very soon here. And a Gingrich spokesman says a decision on that campaign's future could come in a few days. We've heard that before, reassessing and reassessing again. Gingrich, though, seemed to saying he's still sticking on the issues that he disagrees with Obama and sounding very much like a candidate. Listen.
One of the reasons that we are determined to go all the way to Tampa is to fight for a platform that does have these kind of issues in it.
Is Newt Gingrich a distraction at this point?
No, Newt is, look, he's a great thinker. He has a great mind for American politics. He has a great mind for taking the country in a different direction. He recognizes, I think, at this point in time that his voice is still quite important in American politics, maybe just not as our presidential nominee.
Ron Brownstein.
Congresswoman, good morning. Ron Brownstein from National Journal.
Ron.
Good morning. Yeah. Speaking of coming together, Governor Romney campaigned earlier this week with Senator Rubio in Pennsylvania. Senator Rubio is developing a proposal, an alternative to the Democratic version of the DREAM Act that would allow young people brought here illegally to stay in the U.S. legally, but not make them citizens as the Democratic version would. Is that something you want to see Governor Romney and the House Republicans more broadly embrace?
Well, I think it's a very important topic, and I'm glad that Senator Rubio is leading the way here. We really need to do something with immigration. There's no doubt about it. And I think Marco's got a great voice to do just that. I'm personally very encouraged about what he's doing, and I look forward to watching as he rolls this out and hopefully working with him to bring some sort of common sense legislation forward.
Can we talk about student loan interest rates? There's a rare moment of agreement between the president and your candidate. President Obama proposing to extend low student interest loan rates when they expire in July. Your candidate supported that move on Monday. Listen.
That particularly with a number of college graduates that can't find work or that can only find work well beneath their skill level, I fully support the effort to extend the low interest rate on student loans.
But back in December, he was whistling sort of a different tune. This was an exchange caught on tape by a liberal PAC back in December with a student who was worried about higher interest rates. Listen.
And I took out a ton of federally subsidized loans, and they're at like 7.9% interest.
That's a good question. Hopefully get you a really good job that pays a real good pay.
Darn, sorry, you can't really hear it. I'll tell you what she said. It's a student in dental school who says she's got a bunch of federally subsidized loans. They're at 7 to 9.8%. What are we going to do about that? He said, it's a good question. Hopefully you'll get a job. New York Magazine taking that moment and saying, look, this is another Romney Etch-a-Sketch moment. How do you respond?
Well, first of all, I think extending the lower interest rates is a good thing to do on a temporary basis if it's fiscally responsible. But the real question here is while President Obama is out on the campaign trail, while he's visiting these colleges, is he truly delivering the speeches that he should? Is he talking about he's leveraging the future of America, that he's borrowing 40 cents on every dollar for the spending that he's doing? Is he talking about the need to rein in government spending? Is he really explaining to these students that their futures do matter and that what his policies are doing is truly sort of, if you would, it's making them beholden to a large federal government that is filled with waste, fraud, and abuse.
Well, you know, Congressman,
both
of those candidates now support, you know, this interest rate move on student loans that's going to cost $6 billion. That we'll have to borrow money to do that. Your candidate supports it too.
Well, as I said, I'm going to support it too. I have to look at the final details, of course, but it's a temporary extension, and now is, it's an important time. Look, more kids right now are either underemployed or unemployed than ever in the history since they've been taking these numbers. Right. I think there's a real crisis with our youth, and again, my point here is President Obama needs to be making the case, and he needs to recognize himself. But these are among the hardest hit people from the very policies that he's put into place over his term.
All right, Congressman Mary Bono Mack, nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. All right.